At Vibra Finance, we seek out the hidden gems in cryptocurrency. We will tailor your portfolio to work for you. Are you ready to transition your investments from traditional markets to cryptocurrency? Are your coins staked and earning interest? Are you overwhelmed with all the jargon in crypto? Is your portfolio underperforming and you want to reposition into consistent winning blue chip coins and viable projects? Do you feel like you missed out on DeFi, Metaverse, and NFTs? Here at Vibra Finance, we provide you with the data, skills, and tools you need to stay on top of the digital asset market. Vibra Finance. We are the future of crypto.
Hello and welcome back to Vibra Finance. My name is Lindsay. I have a special guest tonight. Pulselorian is here to join me. I'm going to make our faces a little bit bigger over here so you can see them. That's probably better. There we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Lindsay. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. Thanks to Vibra as well. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and talk about crypto, Pulse Chain, Pulselorian, and just hopefully bring more people into our ecosystem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the name of the game. Bring them in and welcome to the Matrix. Come join and come on in. So I'm going to have you, for those who don't know or are not as familiar with you, can you give yourself an introduction to who you are and why you're building on Pulse Chain?
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I think like most people, we get into crypto, exposed by those like crazy highs, and we're trying to learn stuff. So I first stumbled into BTC way back in like 2013. I had no idea what I was doing, and lost my keys, lost my Bitcoin, and then thought it was a scam. And then 4 years later, came back only to go deep into the rabbit hole into Ethereum. And then obviously you go way deeper and start exploring all the layer twos and, MetaMask and Uniswap, so forth. I have a background in finance and tech, and then we co-founded Pulselorian with a guy on Twitter that goes by the handle of Ramurd, Ra_Murd. If anybody wants to check him out, he's the founder, Pulselorian too. And he's actually the guy behind all of the contracts. I pretty much work on the front end. And the idea was that, instead of being just investors on Pulse Chain, we thought, why not deploy some contracts, as we believed we had like something of value to offer the Pulse Chain to crypto, and that could possibly be better than a lot of the stuff we see in crypto, which is one of the challenges, right? We see a lot of scams, a lot of rug pulls, a lot of exploits, a lot of people doing shady stuff. And that kind of tarnishes the industry a little bit, puts people, a little bit skeptical about, what crypto really is. And there's already a ton of barriers to adoption in terms of, getting used to a private key, getting used to a wallet, and doing crypto the right way, right? So we wanted people to have a space where they could buy superior products that actually have really good code, and and in a space where they feel like it's very safe, where all of the energy that went into these products were to basically create products that have like the true ethos of crypto, to the true like cypherpunk movement, which is getting away from this fiat system, which we're all basically slaves to it, right? With inflation, taxation, debt, and everything else, and go into this new system, this new paradigm shift of finance globally, which is crypto. And hence why in our contracts we always strive for transparency. So making the code public so everybody can see what the code is doing, showing our faces, even though it's like something that we like to do. Some people don't like to be public and stuff. And also having no admin keys, so nobody has control over these contracts. and the liquidity is also burnt, meaning nobody can withdraw the liquidity and rug pull somebody. And as much as possible, trying to do fair launches, instead of like all the initial allocation going to a founder or going to a dev team, actually having it go to the public and whoever actually has a vested interest in the success of that project. So a lot of the launches that we did via free airdrops or from the ground up or by community donations, and a lot of them we as devs bought in like everybody else. Again, striving for transparency and delivering like a superior product, right? To make it like succinct, to give an idea of what Pulselorian is. I think a lot of people, when they go into crypto, they first experience crypto is basically the big names, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then they are not as familiar with blockchains like Pulsechain, but that's what we're kind of wanting to spread the word about, because those are the true blockchains built for the people, right? With like the end goal of making the user rich and not some VC, right? So we're all doing our own marketing. We all sacrifice for freedom of speech. And then what we see a lot in crypto is a lot of time, most of what we see is a bunch of meme coins, like so-called shit coins, right? There's usually pump and dumps, and they just like they appear like in the thousands like every day, and it's usually a copy of a copy, and there's not much aside to then like holding a meme and trying to grow a community in this really fragmented market, which truly has not much value tied to it, right? Because anybody nowadays can just go in and deploy a coin. But so what we did in our code is we believe, as I said, in transparency and all of these features where people can feel safe buying these contracts and holding these contracts in their wallets and interacting with the website. But we believe in hyperdeflation, right? We believe in yield, you receiving some sort of yield for holding that asset. We believe in making it like user friendly, where it's really easy to earn this yield. You don't have to click a bunch of like click stake here, click stake there, click end stake, and then also delayed gratification. Promoting good investor behavior, and then give the community a strong identity where we feel tied to together, right? That's why we chose like kind of like the Mandalorian figure, being a guild, right? A guild is a group of people that operate independently, but they have the same goal in mind, as like a mutual investor interest based on loyalty. And then the Mandalorian figure is, battle tested, resilient, resourceful, all of these principles that can deal with this crazy crypto market, right? It's like sky highs and then like abysmal lows, and changes so rapidly. So we needed like an identity that represented that really well, because in the end of the day, these are also social identity networks, right? People will converge to those communities that they identify themselves with. And then our contracts, they're pretty innovative. We introduced in our platform, although we're very small on Pulsechain, but yet growing a lot. A couple of things to keep in mind. All of these contracts, they started from scratch, basically as putting a couple $100 in liquidity, right? And letting people buy in and deploying a new contract to increase our ecosystem, expand our ecosystem. And within 1 year, you can see in the front page, this is kind of like some of the results. We were able to deploy 1,500 contracts. We have a token factory that we deploy for the community. So those are a lot being deployed by the community itself, which actually strengthens the ecosystem. We were able to give a combined value between these contracts of $250,000 back to holders in 1 year. All of these contracts starting with just a couple $100. And burn off the market, over $750,000. And this was all purely organic, starting from scratch with just a couple $100, right? So it shows that the ecosystem is expanding. And the way our contracts, the innovation behind our contracts, it's a lot of like this hyperdeflation, this yield, and promoting good investor behavior. And so you can choose a bunch of yields to earn from as you're selecting there. And the way these contracts work, they leverage like several different aspects to produce that hyperdeflation and yield, which is what we want, right? We want to get paid for what we're holding so that we're not just holding something static that doesn't produce anything for us. And we want to hold an asset that's always becoming more scarce. And additionally, we want to hold an asset that incentivizes people to enhance the liquidity, strengthen the price, and keep that like buying position kind of locked in, right? Even though they can sell at any time, but they're incentivized to keep holding. So on a very superficial level, and obviously we can go into more detail as if you want to, but these contracts, they have several different features, right? I'm just going to go through the basics. Even though it's all seamless once you're actually interacting with the protocol, the tech behind it is actually very intricate. And so these contracts, they leverage some fees on the PulseX exchange when you buy or sell, right? And what it does is a portion of that fee, right, goes into actually removing some of the supply out of the market that creates a hyper deflation, right? And then the other portion of the fee, in case of like one of our contracts reflux, right, it will buy PLS on the market and then redistribute that fee to all holders automatically as PLS. So you're literally holding a contract and you're earning PLS into your wallet without doing anything. Another interesting factor of these contracts is that there's an additional incentive, which is kind of the innovation behind our ecosystem. We were actually, I think, the first in crypto to release this feature. Is the incentive for liquidity, right? If you're a liquidity provider, if you go into the PulseX exchange and you provide liquidity, you're actually entitled to 2 times that yield in PLS, right? Caused by those trading fees, those swap fees.
Oh,
And then
really?
additionally, we have a bunch of accelerator protocols, which are buy and burn protocols, that they also leverage these fees, and they actually buy and burn or lock liquidity forever. So, and then obviously you see a bunch of tokens. It's on purpose because what these tokens do is they are part of a liquidity web, right? And this liquidity web, it can create a bunch of price discrepancies, right? Which will leverage, the arbitrage bots in the market, and then it will in turn generate some yield and some burn. So this liquidity pool in which all of these contracts operate, they kind of leverage these R bots so that it's constantly generating a little bit of volume and a little bit of yield, hence giving a little bit of more deflation and a little bit of more yield to holders. And then additionally, we have yield farming, which is also helps expand this liquidity web. We have a DAO that's for the community to vote on. And then so they can choose. We just did a funny, cast vote for the presidential election, like if people were interested, but mostly they're voting on proposals. And then we also have NFTs that pay a passive income, but mostly the and as well as the token factory, but mostly the ecosystem is geared around this liquidity web and these yield tokens that burn and pay you passive income. So, and with all these deployments, as I said, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, starting these protocols and either airdropping for free or through donations. We've been able to deliver so far 250,000 to holders. Yeah. So there's a lot going on in our ecosystem. It's actually very intricate and deep once you start diving deeper. I'm saying maybe I'm throwing too much information out there, but it's hard to keep it like basic because there's a lot of thought behind these contracts. Yep.
Yeah. I was I have been around for I'm so young. I've only been around for a couple minutes, but I opened this up and I was like, okay, this is a lot of this. I like what's going on here, and I feel like you would have a much more eloquent way of explaining what's going on here. So thank you. Um, but it's so deep, and I wanted to get more eyes. That's why I wanted to have you on here. So thank you for being here. Was so that I could get more eyes on this, and you could explain it so that I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of your target audience are experienced users in crypto that are interested in earning yield in maybe perhaps passive ways and also active ways too. So.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. But we're trying to make it like user friendly, right? I think that's the challenge with Pulse Chain as a whole. Being a centralized network, people are used to buying off assets of Coinbase, Binance. But Pulse Chain, it's not as easy. You need to send your money from Coinbase to a MetaMask or Rebby wallet, your self-custodial wallet, right? And then you have to bridge it into this L2, and then you start interacting with PulseX, a decentralized exchange. It takes just a couple more steps. But for the true like newcomer to crypto, it can seem daunting at first, but it's a barrier that we hopefully try to mitigate, and then hence why we have our Telegram group or Twitter. People can DM, ask questions, and we're here to support them. But yeah, I think that's the barrier we're trying to break. But although these contracts seem like super like sophisticated, like if we start like throwing a lot of technical terms out there, it's actually way like easier to interact with than any other of like the traditional yield generating type of contracts. Because in our case, all you need to do to start earning the yield is just buy the contract and keeping it in your wallet. So it's very simple. You don't have to do anything. As I said, for example, you buy Reflux and you'll start seeing some PLS dropping in. You buy Vortex, you'll start seeing some PLSX dropping in your wallet. And you don't have to do anything. It's all automatic, right? So yeah, if you select, Vortex, yeah.
Oh, let's go to Vortex here. I think we had a request for the chat. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for being here. Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically super simple. There's no like click stake, click end stake, and having to monitor your stake. All you have to do is buy the contract. If you want to be a little bit more advanced, then you can provide liquidity or yield farm. But really, all you have to do is just buy the contract. So it's also noob friendly, right? And then just hold it in your wallet. Don't have to do anything, and the PLS will start dropping in. And then if you scroll up a little bit, we offer this front end, but crypto is very dangerous. People don't usually, it's not recommended that you start connecting to front ends and clicking around websites, because developers can really program malicious functions. So, but hence, we're pretty reputable. All of our contracts are public. We put our face out there. Everything is no admin keys. But all the user needs to do, if he wants to check all the stats on the protocol, is just click connect, right? And then it will show you your balance, how much you're holding it, and then how much yield you've earned over time, and then how much of the supply has been burned. You can paste any address of any holder and check how much they've been earning. You can check your how many holders there are on this contract. You can check your like league position, your market league position, whether you're a whale or whether you're in the protocol, whether you're a dolphin or whatever. Yeah, so Vortex, for example, it paid, you can see there, $22,000 in rewards, about 390 million PLS X to holders so far. So every holder, depending on their position size, depending on how long they've been holding, they got a portion of that yield, right? And it's basically passive income. And these contracts, the way they work, as I said, they are hyper deflationary. So there's only going to be less and less shares over time that yield this PLSX. So even if you're not doing anything as the trading activity, goes on, right? Assuming constant demand for the product, your share of that yield grows over time, right? Because the overall shares in the system, they are always diminishing. So which is amazing, right? The idea is that people start earning these protocols, they gain popularity, people start using them, there's more volume, there's more yield, that over time people can, one, live off their yield, right? And then by living off their yield, they don't necessarily have to ever sell their asset, unless they want to cash out significant profits. And then by doing that, also, let's say you're earning a lot of yield and you have some yield left over, you can always just buy the asset back and compound into it, so you can earn even more yield on the next round of yield distribution. Whenever there's trading activity, this yield gets automatically distributed. So yeah, but a lot of that yield generation comes from this liquidity web, right? That all of these contracts share, which they have a bunch of different pairs, a bunch of different interconnected liquidity pools that they create price discrepancies, right? When people are buying a token, selling another token, and that's when bots come in the market to get that arbitrage profit. And by doing that, they actually generate a little bit of yield and a little bit of burn, and leave that behind to the holders and the liquidity providers of these protocols. It's pretty ingenious. I'm gonna say that in crypto, I think it's on, at least on Pulse Chain, right? That I've first been seeing like projects and ecosystems try to explore this avenue, and each they're doing in their own way, but it's something that it's very notable, like as kind of like, because crypto markets are very in its infancy, right? We don't even know like the potential of what can be created, because people come up with all these different ideas of generating value out of these protocols, but that's what we've been observing a lot. Yep.
Oh, it's amazing. And for those that are new or are not familiar with Pulse Chain, it is DeFi 3.0 over here.
Yep.
It's just so deep. I think, when you're in it daily or you've been here since day one, it's just, I feel like our learning curve was just so steep. And then coming in, we just had all of the keys to do it right. And I don't take that for granted. If you don't make your little mistakes, then you're, like you're destined to be a leader if you could fall and get back up. Right. So those little things. But then coming in and then having this with our bots and liquidities and the way that these things are interchanging with each other to just add value to an ecosystem. I don't think people can quite grasp that, because in other ecosystems, there's so much extraction. And I mean ecosystems outside of the Richard Hart ecosystem, not ecosystems necessarily within there. Although we've seen some, whatever, but it is early days, growing pains, man. We're like toddlers here, right?
Totally. But what we see is that like everything's growing, right? Pulse Chain is growing, Pulselorian is growing, other communities are growing, and it's all, we're all bonded to the success of the network, right? As Pulse Chain grows, we grow, right? And
That's right.
yeah, so it's very, 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 very interesting and very cool to see all that's been happening on Pulse Chain. And a cool feature, within our ecosystem, as I said, we offer like a token factory where people can come in and deploy their own tokens on that mint tab.
Mint, okay.
And it's pretty much, I correct me if I'm wrong, can correct me later, but I've explored other blockchains, other token factories, and I have not seen one as advanced as ours. Usually you're able to deploy like a basic token, or even deploy a basic reflection token that has a little bit of burn and a little bit of like reflects that fee to holders of the token itself. But in our token factory, I think it's pretty much, as of now, I think one of the most advanced in crypto.
I'm surprised how customizable this is.
You can specify like the burn buy fee, the sell buy fee. You can specify like if you're a founder, like your own dev fee for the token. If you need some sort of like treasury to keep running your project and need to collect some funds for growth of the project, you can deploy the yield tokens, right? Which is these tokens that they yield an asset by holding them, but it can yield an asset of choice. So you can earn PLSX, you can earn DAI, you can earn PulseX, you can earn Hex, right? So and all based on growing the RH ecosystem, which is what we stand for, right? It's the true crypto for the people. And yeah, and you can even deploy a burn yield token, which is you can actually create a contract that buys and burns the reward token, that target token. So you're making the reward token itself that you're receiving deflationary too, which is pretty cool. And on that note is what a partner project that uses our code used recently, a burn yield type of contract, which is a new project, right, on Pulse Chain. I thought it was worth to mention, even though it's not us leading the project, they're using our code. Is the Incognito 0x? It hasn't launched that yet. It's not on our website. It's called, if you want to open the tab, it's called Incognito 0x. Yeah, I think it's worth a mention. It's about to launch very soon. Number zero, yeah, without the dot, 0x.com. Yeah. And to see like I mentioned that because it's like people are getting awareness of these protocols, and then it ended up raising significant capital. I think it raised like over 120,000 in 2 weeks. You can scroll down a little bit, and it is also a burn yield type of token, but it will actually burn ink token, RH ink token. So a portion of these fees will go into burning RH token ink, which is pretty cool. So ink is a token that gets emitted over time. It's RH incentive token, and this contract, people decide to use it, people decide to earn yield with it. It will also be helping our H ecosystem, making ink also deflationary, giving some deflation to ink contract. So it's coming very soon, hasn't launched yet, but it's pretty cool. It will show all the stats as well. I just wanted to make that note on that burn.
Donation address in there. There you go.
Yeah.
Chat.
Yeah, but yeah, the donation period is over. Just
sorry.
But yeah, so it's just wanted to show it's something that's using our code partner project. So it's like kind of like people going into our platform, and building more stuff within our H ecosystem, right? And building stuff that will strengthen the RH ecosystem, right? It will be burning ink. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, it hasn't launched yet, but I think it's going to launch in the next few days. And yeah, like grew like a following, like within like a couple of weeks there were already like 700 members on the Telegram. So that's pretty interesting. And an interesting fact is that since these are all liquidity web based type of projects, that liquidity web is also going to be benefiting like Pulselorian ecosystem, so it's all going to enhance, the arbitrage, the burn, the yield, and these contracts are just going to burn more and give more yield and then become more scarce, and it's just going to reward the people who truly believe, it's pretty cool stuff. It just keeps growing. And then we've seen a lot of people use the factory and run off with their projects, but still kind of remain within the community and try to grow it. And it's all grassroots stuff, like real crypto, cypherpunk, grassroots from the ground up, no VCs, no marketing, but yet you see tons of value actually generated, right? Because what you see a lot is projects that have like huge marketing, huge VCs. They capture millions of dollars, but when they deliver good products, but when you see actually the value that goes back into the users' hands is very minimal. Like the value that goes back into liquidity is very minimal. Like all that value goes to liquidity, goes to users' hands, and it gets burnt. So it's pretty cool stuff.
It really is. It really is. It's a game changer for those that are used to the the VC-backed tokens, and it does require a bit of education. So thank you for explaining a lot of that out there. It's not been an easy task for us over here in Pulse Chain to guide news users. And then there was I wanted to ask you about the LPs, and you had mentioned in one of the streams, but for somebody coming outside the system and being like, okay, fine, I'll go through the work, I'll bridge over, and I want to let's go. And then they're looking at some of the LPs look a little low. Can you explain why you guys are building at a grassroots situation for the beneficial turn? How does it benefit the project in the long run, and how's it benefiting the user in the now?
So just to make sure I understood, it's more, your question is more why we're building our own ecosystem and why our LPs, why we're taking this LP approach. Is that it? Is that the question?
More looking
Or
at
why the LPs are still kind of low in liquidity.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice and say it. I was trying to find a nice way
Yeah,
of saying
no,
that.
that's
I'm not
fine.
gonna say it, sir.
It's because we're a small community, right? We're a growing community,
Right.
grassroots, and we started from scratch. So when you say it might be low compared to one of the bigger projects on chain, Teddy Bear, we all know which are the bigger projects, right? But when you think of that, these contracts, take RFX for example, right? It's been launched with a couple $100 in liquidity, and now there's 50,000 in liquidity, and it actually gave back to users another $50,000, right? And that's just the PLS liquidity, right? There's liquidity with Ink, liquidity with DAI, liquidity with PLSX, and all sorts of other liquidities. So yeah, it gave back $52,000 in 1 year. So it basically paid back all that money in liquidity back to holders as rewards. So it's a pretty powerful protocol. And a matter of fact is that these contracts actually actually had way more in liquidity. It had a huge rise up. I think at the highest it went up to 150K, and it was something really fast because people really realized the potential behind these contracts. And so obviously crypto moves so fast, it took a dump, but now it's slowly rising. And then if you also check the amount of supply burnt, it's about almost 20% of the supply burnt as well. That's indirect value also given back to holders. So you have a contract that literally started with $200 in liquidity, right? And then there's 50,000 in LP, 36,000 that got bought and burned, and then 50,000 that got rewarded to holders as passive income, right? And then I didn't even mention all the other LPs. And then I didn't even mention that there's now this new project, for example, Incognito, that raised 120,000 in LP, and it's also going to be interconnected with RFX, generating more yield for RFX and a bunch of other Pulselorian tokens. So it's actually true value, right? As grassroots community from scratch, the best code, because the dev behind the founder and dev behind this code has 30 years of programming experience leading tech teams around the globe. The guy, we're pretty much releasing most advanced token factory in crypto. We're releasing this incentive for liquidity, which was super innovative. And then these contracts also have an accelerated protocol, buy-in, burning, and locking liquidity. So there's a ton of value generated to users. And that's only one, right? When you add all of the other tokens together, you have a ecosystem that already has, throughout all of these different LPs, hundreds of thousands in liquidity, right? It's just in this decentralized web of liquidity. And a point to mention is that it also is because we're still so early, right? We're still so early. Again, Pulse Chain, it went up a little bit slightly recently, did a good run up, but still we're below sacrifice price. PulseX is still discounted almost 50%. So when you factor in that with the liquidity bonding, that if Pulse Chain, which is what we all believe is going to go up over time, all of these contracts also go up over time in terms of liquidity. So it's more of an opportunity, right? You want to be in stuff early, right? We want to be in stuff when not many people know. When everybody's talking about Pulselorian and Pulse Chain, and we have a bunch of contracts on the first page, people truly believe, if people truly do their work. as a community, because it's all, we have to do the work. There's nobody, it's crypto, right? It's a paradigm shift. Nobody's doing this work for us as the whole community. Word of mouth marketing, like liking on Twitter, you know, being receptive to users on our Telegram group. Then obviously, you know, it grows, and it grows really fast, right? To give an idea of how fast the price on some of these tokens can appreciate, you just look at the liquidity pool size, right? Like $50,000 RFX, for example. And then just imagine we capture, you know, it's Pulse chain, crypto, blockchain. It's a global market, right? It trades 24/7. There's billions of people around the world. Imagine we capture 100 new users willing to say, hey, I believe in these tokens. I see the results. I'm gonna start DCAing, like investing every month $100, which is something very reasonable, right? And then when you see that amount of capital inflow a year, that's $120,000 a year, right? What does $120,000 going into a liquidity pool of $50,000 will do to the price? It will send the price to the moon. Anybody who's in early, they'll make a ton of gains. And then if you extrapolate it and you say we had 1,000 new holders, you know, over the course of a year, 2 years, willing to spend $100, that's 1.2 million of capital inflow a year. So that could like pretty much like just send all of these contracts up into the moon, right? Obviously, we're not yet targeting like with like some of the liquidity pools being you know, a little bit smaller. Some larger investors, they might need to play around on like a lot bigger projects, right? Because they're trying to deploy, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. But we'd like them to like believe and be early in these projects. That's the idea, and that's what we're seeing, right? You check Vader, right? Vader is just breaching. Like if check Vader and Vader launched a month ago, right? It launched a month ago and it paid already. It launched a month ago with $15,000 in liquidity, and it already paid $15,000 in rewards. And that was mostly due to, you know, BTC price appreciation, which helped a lot. But it basically already paid in rewards the initial capital that it started, and it actually doubled the size of liquidity, right, to almost 30,000. And then if you scroll down to the chart, you'll see that it's just like making all-time high. You know, it's like you don't use, what do you see? You get a lot of our charts, you price them against PLS, and you'll see that most of them they are near all-time high or breaking all-time high against PLS or against the dollar. So it's pretty cool. You see that it's growing. You know, it's not a pump and dump. It's not stuff that people are like dumping. It's stuff on the contrary. Is people are trying to buy more. If you want me to give you another example, if you get the Vortex chart, just another example, you can get any chart really. Yeah. And then if you price it against PLS, if you scroll up a little bit, scroll up a little bit more, there's a USD and PLS, price it against PLS, because that's what we want. And just zoom out so we can see a wider range of like, yes, like zoom out the chart a little bit so you can capture the whole range since the beginning. I don't know if you can do that. Yeah.
I can't. I don't know why it's being a bugger.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
It's
Try
not.
to like make it go all way back until it started. If you can't, it's fine.
Normally I could, but for some reason,
Yeah, I know. I know, it's okay. But if you see the chart as a whole, like for anybody who's interested in checking out, like it's actually this dip is actually not a dip. It's because it's increased like so much more. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So if you see, it had like a huge bump. People try to dump it, and then it just keeps climbing back up. And you should always see the chart in like a log view. If you like scroll down a little bit and see it in log, yeah, it can give you a better idea, because you know how the price is moving. But you see it, huge run up. It was a 10x run up. It dumped, and now it's slowly climbing back up near an all-time high against PLS. Right, it's not so far away from the all-time high. So So we see a lot of like in our contracts behavior where we see these protocols are growing. We see these protocols are getting more scarce. Vortex, if you look at the supply burnt, um, if you scroll all the way to the top, um, yeah, it burned 15% of the supply, $35,000 worth. And then again, 22,000 yield to holders on a liquidity pool size that's about 33,000. And this, again, people have to keep in mind, these are new, like small communities, contracts that were built from scratch, launched from scratch, kind of fair distribution, and fairly decentralized. You have 61 liquidity providers. So with just that small community, the small volume, we can generate all of this value. So you can imagine what will happen, as as we onboard more people and more people start believing in like what we're trying to do. We're basically, we're trying to just release like superior products, superior value proposition in terms of, a cryptocurrency you want to hold long term, a superior community, because all we do is based on loyalty, knowing each other and trusting each other, because at the end of the day, we're all working together, of a goal of like, trying to exit the matrix through crypto, right? So we kind of need to be aligned. But we're just saying, here are good products. People are running into these scam coins, like throwing thousands and thousands of dollars and getting rug pulled all the time. And I say it because I hear it of like people coming in the Telegram and saying, hey, I actually interacted with the wrong project, and I got scammed, or I got rug pulled, or like somebody took my keys. And we're trying to give people a safe space, so people can hold an asset that actually will work for them. You're not going to hold a meme coin that's not doing anything, or they'll say, yeah, but I can provide liquidity and earn the exchange fees with my meme coin. And I'll say, yes, sure, but you can also provide liquidity in our contracts. You earn the exchange fees, and then on top of it, you also are earning the PLSX yield, which is, a super nice yield to have PLSX just dropping in your wallet automatically, no gas to claim it, no clicking buttons. And then on top of that, you have a protocol that's also getting more scarce. The meme coin is just a coin that doesn't get scarce, right? So, and on top of that, we also have a liquidity web, yield farming, accelerated protocols that are all helping buy and burn, lock liquidity. So, and that's the reason why these contracts are generating value and they keep going up in the chart, even though they're small. It's over time. You see the mechanics of the contract work, and the metrics are just going to get better, right? Which will allow us to attract even more people. Pulse. It's like Pulse does a 2x, and now there's 100K in liquidity, and a little bit bigger investors can come in. And now there's, instead of yielding $50,000 in reward, now we've yielded 100K in rewards, right? And then now our main metric also went up, and we were able to distribute, instead of 250K, 300K to holders. And then more people get interested in deploying the factory tokens and explore that. And the cool thing at the factory is, and a lot of these contracts, not their intricacy, is that there are several contracts within our ecosystem that's kind of like diving deeper, that they also buy and burn each other. So they're targeted buys and burns. So when I'm making a transaction with Vader, it's also actually buying, like buying and burning PBSKR, for example, it's one thing that I have to add to the website, the small, like this targeted buy and burn, because I was recently refactoring the website. So it's something still to be added, just so that people are aware. But there's more like stuff, like, as I said, the token factory. When people deploy a token using the Pulselorian factory, there's a negligible fee. There's a fee, obviously. Economy 101, there's no free lunch, right? We're all trying to like improve our protocols. but there's a tiny negligible fee on transactions, completely negligible. Like it's you cannot even perceive it. But what this is doing is it's creating transactions in our ecosystem, and it's creating buy and burn in our ecosystem. So you start with like 50 contracts, maybe there's just a few transactions here and there, maybe not much. 100 contracts, 200 contracts deploy. These contracts grow in parallel with people like leading their own projects. It's going to be value that that gets back into the Pulselorian ecosystem, buying and burning, generating transactions. So, which is pretty cool.
This is really cool. I was taking a look over it, and like I said earlier, I was like, wow, this actually has a lot of really customizable, way
Yeah,
more than I've seen.
yeah, and it's what we're trying to empower people, because in my mind, like, why are you going to give your economic energy into a community or a project that you don't know the founder, you don't know the whales, you don't know if the code is really good, and you're kind of the mercy of those people? Why not you start your own thing yourself? You put your economic energy in there. Nobody can take it away from you. And now you are the founder. You connect with the people that share your values, and you start growing your own community, right? And then it's just beneficial for the chain. It's more tokens deployed, it's more transactions on chain, and then it's decreasing that barrier of like, I want to develop a cool project, but I don't want to develop just a basic meme coin. I want to develop a reflection token, but now I can also add another contract into my ecosystem that burns this reflection token, and you can create all sorts of different mechanics, and truly game changing, like like parallel ecosystems, but which are all supporting each other, right? Because one feeds off of each other, right?
Yeah, I mean, if
So
you have a core, what we in the within the ecosystem call our core coins. If you have a core coin that
yeah,
you really love, I mean, they have a
yeah,
solution for that.
yeah.
Where
You were talking about PTGC. If you scroll down like that, choose yield token list. Yeah, if you go down to Reptilian, yeah. So Reptilian, look at Reptilian. Scroll up a little bit.
passed
Uh,
right by it. Sorry about that,
yeah.
Reptilian.
So Reptilian is so small, like it has about $10,000 in liquidity. But since it's been there like for a little while, generating yield, PTGC performed really well. It distributed over $40,000 in rewards. And PTGC rewards. So which is helping the PTGC ecosystem. And I thank Coach X, like we met when we deployed this token. We like we did a collaboration there, because it's helping his ecosystem, is helping our ecosystem. And yeah, so it generated a little bit of transaction volume today, generated a little bit of yield to holders. There's a little bit less coins in the market, and it will keep doing that forever, because all of the stuff is 100% decentralized, 100% admin key free, and you don't even need a front end. Let's say I'm not here like a year from now and the front end goes down. These contracts keep working as usual. They'll keep paying the rewards as usual. Like, you just might not be able to see the stats, but anybody else can set up a front end to check the stats, So, which is another feature. We want to build stuff to last long term, that people can use and really change this fiat system we're in, right? This fiat system is gone. It's garbage. And it's just a matter of time. It's just people are slowly waking up. I just see every day, I see more people into crypto, and even like friends of mine who were a little bit crypto averse, now they're like in full deep into the rabbit hole, like adding Uniswap v3 liquidity. How do I bridge to Polygon? How do I bridge to Pulse Chain? Which is like happened just the other day. And I was like, man, I think you need to slow down because like, be careful, because crypto, it offers all this possibility, but for the people who are not familiar, it's incredibly dangerous, right?
Yeah, there's an opportunity for somebody who knows how green you are.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous. You think you kind of know it because you're now staking a contract and you're providing liquidity, and you interact with the wrong contract and your money is gone. You send your money to some centralized exchange and your money is gone. And we've been in crypto for a while. We've been battle tested. We had our rug pulls. We had our share of scams. And that's why we decided to build something good for the people. We don't want people getting hurt. We want people doing sound investment that kind of like translate to our HS principles, delayed gratification, DCA, hold, earn your yield. You're holding a deflationary asset. Let the contracts do the work over time. It's not time in the market. It's not timing the market, right? It's time in the market. And any of these holders that bought in on day one of these contracts, they got handsome price appreciation, handsome yield, but there's always like the guy who buys the top, or the guys who cheat and can't hold long enough, or like holds for 2 days and, hey, I'm not seeing much yield. But that's
Right
yeah.
These
But
guys right
that's probably but again, like put it in log this contract, and you'll
Ah,
see like
I'm so spoiled.
yeah,
I have you on my deck screener, and I'm using.
it's actually way up. So
Yeah, there we go.
it's a huge candle up, and then like so yeah.
There, I had it
And
right.
that's value against PLS, right? Which is what you basically, what you want to earn, right? More of. So yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, like just $10,000 in liquidity, over 40,000 in rewards, over $4,000 burnt off the market, um, and these contracts just keep working.
They just keep
Keep people.
working. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was so excited to bring you on because thank you for explaining it in a way where I hope that if there's, I know that there's a question out there, and I know you eat FUD for breakfast, so I know it's maybe about dinner time. Are you hungry? No, I'm just kidding. But there was a question out here from Space D. Why in deck screener in this section, quick intel, it has two issues mentioning suspicious
that's
functions.
a good
Why?
question. Very good question. Very valid question. I think it already popped up to us in the Telegram chat. So one thing to understand about like deck screener and our contracts are custom, are built from scratch, right? And sites like deck screener, they cannot like possibly like see like all of the functions and all of these different types of custom contracts. So they probably have like some generic check of like basic functions in the contract. And maybe if they see some function that's not like a generic like basic function that's usually on a contract, that's why it will probably show like that. But if you go on the block explorer itself, the code is public, right? And we made it public for a reason. Anybody who wants to see the code, see exactly what it's doing, if there's any sort of like scam in the code, they can check that. Like sometimes like the link on some of these websites to connect to the Pulsechain Explorer doesn't like.
Yeah, I'm using
You probably have
Firefly.
to type the contract, copy the contract, and type it on the scan. So it's actually a good good exercise, and it's something that people should always do, right? You go to scan.pulsechain.com, right? And so yeah, that's the reason why. But you can check the code itself. As I said, it's public, and the ownership is renounced, meaning like we can no longer execute those functions in the contract, right? So if you go to grab like the reptilian, and this is something that I see people do like all the time on Pulsechain, and there's some big contracts on Pulsechain. I'm not going to name names, but usually you want to see a green mark on the contract there. If you see the contract, there's a green check mark, and then if you scroll down a little bit and keep scrolling, that's when you can actually see the code, and then you can actually scroll down and see all of what the code is doing. You can just scroll down to give people like a view, right, of like the code itself. And so a lot of contracts on Pulsechain, they actually do not show their code. And then my question to you guys is like, why are these contracts not showing the code? Is there something malicious? Is there something that they're trying to hide? Or is the code really good that they don't want anybody to copy it? Either way, when you don't see the code, it's not a good sign, because then you can't see, or you're making it harder to see what functions are getting executed in that contract, right? So you can literally also scroll up. You can scroll up a little bit overall. You can check the read contract, if you click, and you can check, like a bunch of the functions in the contract. And if you scroll down all the way to the owner, should see like a little bit up. Yeah, owner, and you see that the owner is the 0 address, right? It's a bunch of zeros. That is the burn address. Nobody has control over that address. So meaning the contract that's controlling this contract, nobody has control over it. So it's actually decentralized. So it's important for people who are getting into crypto, kind of like dive deeper into the rabbit hole, because there's developers can always try to find a way to obfuscate, hide, because majority of the people, they're just listen to somebody say a contract, a name, a ticker, and they're right away buying it, and they're not doing any sort of due diligence. And it's part of the trade-off of being in a truly decentralized market, where people can deploy whatever they want, and then people can buy whatever they want. But it also, freedom comes responsibility. If you're not taking responsibility and doing your thorough check of what you're interacting with, what kind of community, what kind of protocols, what kind of contracts, then you can get hurt really bad. And so we see that over and over in crypto. And as I said, get the post-chain tickers, do this simple check on the block scanner, check if they show their code. And I think you'd be surprised to see that a lot of projects don't show their code, which is different from us, right? We're actually publishing our code. So
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so for those of you on the Explorer there, scroll down, click code, and then you can scroll down and look through the code there. And they even have a very fancy Pulselorian up there in the top. So
that's all credit to our founder, Ramward.
Way to go, Ram. Yeah, no, this is what I wanted you to be able to show everyone so that they could see the transparency of it and understand why perhaps participating in something when it's in speculation and price discovery would be.
Yeah. We hear all the time, people come to us and say we're scamming people, or they'll try to FUD and say like we're dumping on people. It's not true. Everything is on chain, everything's transparent. Like if we were to truly, and by this time, like right now, we already actually have a really good reputation on Pulse Chain, because bad actors, they don't stick around. They'll leave like really early. So yeah, instead we've just kept building like token factory for people to use, yield farm for people to use, all of these passive income protocols for people to use. And it's really a lot of intricacies. For example, our yield farm, yield farm usually have an emission token, which is inflationary for the purpose that you have to pay rewards for people, right? If you see our emission token, it burned 15% of the supply, meaning, so 15%, meaning there's accelerators behind these protocols, right? They're actually targeting the emission token off the farm. So we actually have a farm where this emission token is being bought up, and this emission token also serves a purpose. You can use it for voting on a DAO. So whenever we introduce a new farm, is actually the community voting. So you can see like people have voted to remove a specific farm and the proposal didn't pass, or people voted to add Magic Me Money eDai farm, and then the proposal passed. They're actually voting on the blockchain transparently. So is the community itself is kind of having the final say on the farm itself, which is the way it should be, right? Like, why should I be dictating like what token goes up, what token gets removed out of the farm? We do have an admin function for that, like just for the farm specifically, because we don't want people submitting proposals all the time, right? But the community is actually voting. So once the community votes, like a button pops up and anybody can execute that function, and it automatically adds that to the farm. So which is pretty cool stuff. So again, I don't see many people doing that. Like I think we have a ton of value. It's just we just need more eyes on it.
Yeah, I
Yep.
agree. And of course, when the liquidity flows, if you're out there trying to pack, if you're out there and you're a plankton and you're packing your bags, you have a little bit of time to do some research. And if you're participating in this ecosystem and there are core coins or, core four coins that you love, then get to know liquidity, get to know our bots, really get to know our bots. And
Yeah.
tell us, I mean, like, I know we could wrap this up. I so appreciate you being here. I don't want to take too much of your time up, but it's been awesome having you go through all of this so that you can explain it in a way where the users understand that they're participating in a decentralized platform and in a decentralized manner, and not in a way where you're waiting for one person to tell you what to do, because there's
Yeah.
no one person here. Right. I don't think people outside of the eco get that yet. And I'm so excited when they do. We're so early.
It's so early, and like as Pulse Chain like starts making more gains, and like it attracts more people. Like, and then people want to learn because they want to know how to make that much money so fast, like people do in crypto, right? It's crazy. People do a 10x in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month, and it's just like, how did you make that much money? And like that's when they want to learn. But yeah, it's a thing where it's everybody's putting their own energy into it. We put our own energy developing these contracts because we believe it's better code to a lot of the stuff that's out there. I'm not saying it's like the best, but it's everybody doing their work, like bringing in more people, like being receptive to the people who are trying to ask questions about the project, building on top, launching their own coin and doing their own thing. Everything like adds value. It's pretty cool. It's like we see it's growing, right? We see there's more people coming in, and as I said, I think people will notice a noticeable difference with this Incognito partnership, because Incognito seem to have been very successful in terms of like raising awareness, and like both ecosystems will benefit out of that. So that's pretty cool. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. If you have a chance, if you were on Twitter, go into Incognito's Twitter page. Sorry, I took it down and I don't have it saved.
No
Incognito.
problem.
Incognito, there we go. Head on over to their Twitter page, and they did a live the other day, so you can get a good breakdown of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Lindsay, I appreciate like the work that you and Vibra do for Pulse Chain for crypto. I know you guys are in other chains, and I know you guys love Pulse Chain because it's like real deal when it comes to DeFi and true cryptocurrency for the people. But it's like, yeah, we're all kind of doing our part, because the more people join this crypto movement, it's like the more power we'll have against like this horrible fiat system it's just enslaving everybody. And people can't make money because when they try to make a little bit of money, they'll just inflate the supply of the currency and keep you poor, right? That's what they do. So and then the prices go up, right? So you receive a little bit of a like maybe like a raise on your work, but then everything is more expensive. So did you really get a raise? No, not really. So yeah.
Yeah, you're
But
not getting a
crypto,
raise. You're netting negative at the end of the year. And if you
pretty
don't
much you're getting poorer. when
yeah.
you discount the inflation, discount like it's like you're actually getting poorer. And yeah, I seen it all around, and I come from another country, which we're talking about US, right, which is one of the leading economies and the best economies. There's economies all over the world that are like utterly destroyed by money printing, by debt and all of that. So yeah,
Yeah, I
that,
knew.
that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
I knew. I knew. I had a dream once that I was going to pull money out from behind a vent. I don't know. And this is not what I pictured, so I need to be more clear and specific when I manifest. But anyway, so I'm cleaning out and I pulled out World War II bills. And
Oh,
I was like, woo! I was like, oh, envelope full of cash. I was like, all right, that's kind of exciting. And then when I did my research, that literally is just paper. I can't even pay somebody to take them off my hands. That's how useless these things are. And they were used by United States soldiers in, WW2. So
yeah.
that was like a aha moment, because where are we right now if you compare cycles from 1965 to about today? And within the next couple of weeks, where are we with that cycle? We're looking very similar. We were talking about a graph, and neither one of us could find it before we got on here. But for those of
Totally.
you, yeah, it's the bell. It looks like a bell curve almost, and it goes by what market cycles, and it shows you where we are now in years versus 2025. So going into 2025, you had expressed some bullish sentiment, and I'm right there with you. I'm not gonna lie.
Totally, 100%. Yeah. And yeah, thank God for the internet too, like people and X, right? Like after Elon Musk bought X, because we have a little bit more freedom of speech, because they were really trying to stifle, crypto growth, like Operation Choke Point 2.0, right? And because yeah, it's a threat to the current system in some ways, but like whoever embraces it first will. Yo Mammy is like he's an OG on Pulselorian, like been with us forever.
That's
Like
right.
glad to see him. Yeah,
Have you seen Enki yet?
I saw Enki like the other day. I think it was pumping. Yeah, good job for that team.
Oh, yeah. It was the man. All right, yeah. If anybody else has any more questions, throw them out there and happily go through it. I hate when people sit and they go through the chat like one by one, because I want to keep up a good flow. We were talking about like bullish energy coming in the market. Look at that market cap coming up 50%, and we haven't even hit the 15th of December yet. So this
Totally. Yeah.
this is really exciting for those of you who are new to like business world. Q4 and the closing of the book, there's a reason why they call it black market, and that's to keep the books in the black. So this
Yeah.
is, everybody wants to go into the new year beating that drum, looking at like, invest in us because we're brand new, we're shiny, and what better time than the fourth industrial revolution to do so. So I'm excited. Like, it's what you guys have built here is I look at it in the crypto market as a whole as being around in the 90s, 1995, before that big boom that we had. And comparing those two eras, it's, you guys, what you're building here is more like 2000. You guys are like way into the 90s. You guys are into the 2000s with this stuff. So, like I
Thank
said,
you.
yeah, it really is. So for, if it's something that's not hitting your palate, then perhaps it's like tugging at you to do so, like a dive into it and look at it.
Yeah, it's hard. We've and I'm like it's like I think it's all of us, like we're just bombarded with so much information nowadays and so many projects popping up. And sometimes it's not even like that we don't want to learn about it. It's just we don't have enough time, and we like that, like sometimes it requires you a little bit of deeper dive to get to know something. I know there's wonderful like projects on Pulse Chain, they're all doing like their thing and thriving. um and yeah, it's just like we're all on a like same boat. It's just like, as you said, I think you're like, you said like abundance mindset, right? It's just like, it's not like it's not, we're not, there's plenty, for everybody out there, where everybody can like make super big gains. And yeah, I love Pulse Chain. As I said, I've been in crypto since 2013. I think everybody who's in Pulse Chain is, they are already deep in the rabbit hole. We just have to onboard those newcomers, that go into Solana, and like, and the other coins, which they also did really well. But I think where the value is on Pulse Chain, because it's grassroots, it's cypherpunk, and it's so undervalued for what it offers. The amount of content creators, the amount of liquidity, the amount of projects. and you want to buy undervalued stuff, right? You don't want to buy the stuff that's on the top. You want to be early, so you want to buy the stuff which hasn't even had a cycle one run yet, right? So I'm pulse chain all the way.
Yeah, it makes me laugh because people will be like, well, there's no the liquidity's low in there and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? You want a big VC to come in and pump in the liquidity and then drown you out? Or do you want to be an early participant and perhaps, I don't know, like you could ride that up and discover where it's gonna go. But that's it depends on your risk tolerance, absolutely, where that falls in your portfolio. I'm not saying to come in and FOMO into these things, but like take a look around. There's ways to earn back the core coins if that's what you're looking for. And right now, the ability to participate in these projects is I don't know another word. I can't pull another word off the top of my head other than it's affordable in a way. So like if I can get a waitress to DCA $20 a week into this ecosystem, then she's gonna make it because she doesn't care. She doesn't care to know about any of the tech. She doesn't want to know about any of the underworkings. She just wants to be able to open up her internet money wallet and look at her Pulselorian coins and enjoy her time there. So it's awesome. It's been fun to give people something to look to. And then like when I had contacted you to have you come on and go through this with us, I was doing some housekeeping in the back of my wallet, taking a look through my transactions, and I was like, Reptilian, yo, what's going on with this? So thank you for coming on and giving us more of that. And I think you gave them a great bit of information to get started with. And I'd really love to follow this up in a few weeks and see where you guys have grown from here. Because
I think so. My opinion, I'm excited with this incognito launch. As I said, it's like a partner, not us leading it, but it's our code, and we're going to share the liquidity pool. So I think it's going to benefit both ecosystems. And I think after this launch, which is going to be very soon, I think we're already going to see like a whole different ecosystem, because it's not only in terms of like the liquidity, it's just like members who get onboarded into one community and end up knowing another community and vice versa. So I think would be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and always open for follow-ups, and like I really want to see where we are gonna be at, like 6 months, a year from now, with like the Pulse Chain bull run, the crypto bull run, and everything else. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna catch a lot of people like off guard, and people will be surprised with like the gains and like I think people are still kind of like in a disbelief stage, like thinking, is it gonna really run up? But
They sure
but
are. They sure
but I
are
think
disbelief, Dave. I mean, look at some of this. Well, okay, that was a bad example over here. Let's
yeah,
not look at this one. But I mean, some of this is like, um,
these e coins are like just skyrocketing, right? Like people are
yeah,
doing like crazy speculation on these, which is awesome, and there's like strong narrative behind it. Yeah.
that's right. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to check back in with you in a few weeks and we'll see what you guys have been up to. I can't wait to hear more. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you'd like to share?
No, that was great, Lindsay. I just want to thank you and Vibra for the space, the opportunity to share a little bit of our community and our code, and let's just like keep in touch, and like let's like make the most out of this bull run. I'm 100% sure it's gonna be awesome.
Cheers to that. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
guys.
Awesome,
Yeah,
Lindsay.
thank you so much for being here tonight. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Adam will be back on tonight, I believe at 11 o'clock. Check back in. He's going to post the stream link soon. So thank you all for coming. Pulselorian,
Now,
thank you for coming. Follow him on Twitter and get into the Telegram. That guy is so helpful. So any questions, and it's really an active, busy group. It's a place to be. So thanks for coming. Talk soon.
thank you, Lindsay. Yep, awesome.